Welcome to our second day of virtual summer seminar. We're so excited you're here with us. My name is Kelly Walker. I taught K-5 for 15 years, K-4 for 2 years, first grade for a couple years. I am currently the nursery director at Pensacola Christian College. I'm just so excited that you are here with us today. And today we're going to start talking about teaching writing, writing evaluation, and writing class. Some of you may think, okay, writing's going to begin when children start school. But in actuality, do you realize that writing begins when a child, a baby, even starts grasping your fingers or picking up toys, those fine motor skills, he's already developing those. When children are coloring, they're doing those basic strokes and those circles and those back and forth, developing those muscles that they need for that writing class. So when you begin teaching writing in a classroom setting, they have already developed some of those muscles that they need for that writing class. Now you're not just going to jump in 2 feet and say, these are all the letters, let's learn all of these at once. No, we're going to do this in a progression. The Abeka curriculum greatly helps you with their progression of learning. The first thing you're going to teach the children to learn are their lowercase letters, their small letters. After you have learned a lot of your small letters, you progress into learning to write those words and those blends. From there, you're going to work to those difficult connections, helping the children understand how those letters connect together. Working on their capital letters. They are so excited when they get to learn that capital letter that goes right there with their first name. And then, yes, we get to teach them how to write their first name. Oh, they are so proud of themselves and so excited when they get to take that name tag home and show it to their family to show them that they have learned their first name. Now, teaching writing, there's a lot of different things that you will need to help the children be successful with their writing time. First of all, you want to have the curriculum. The Abeka curriculum walks you step by step through every path that you need to take the children to help them be successful with their writing. One of the things you'll want to have up for them is that right hand and left hand chart so they can look at it, tell them about that chart, help them understand how to use that chart so that they can look at it and remember how to hold their pencil and how to slant their papers. You're going to want to use the cursive formation flashcards. Have them displayed above maybe the chalkboard in your classroom so they can look at those when they can't remember how a letter is written. And it's a help to them to make them be successful when they're writing. Have a demonstration area, maybe at the bottom, at the top of the chalkboard. Make their paper look just like your paper there on the chalkboard so you can write large enough for them so they can see those letter strokes and patterns that they have. We also have with Abeka digital teaching aid. I'm going to show you one of these in just a minute. These are wonderful and they help the children to see the formation of that letter very, very carefully so they can watch how it is developed. And of course, you'll want to have the workbooks that go along. It's reinforcing what you have already taught them there in the classroom. So the workbooks are a wonderful guide to help the children in that practice. I told you about that digital teaching aid. Let's watch Little Eye through the eyes of the digital teaching. Now, when you're teaching writing, there are 4 P's of penmanship that are so important for the children to learn. You want to practice these and go over them often to help the children in your classroom be successful writers. The first one you want to talk to them about and demonstrate for them is their posture. Help them to learn to sit up straight in their chair. So the back is on the back and the bottom's on the bottom. Their feet are in front of their chair, touching the floor if possible. Some of them have little legs, so their feet may not touch, but in front of their chair, sitting up straight. Don't let them hump over. That's going to prevent them from their arm being able to move in those smooth, fluid motions that you need for that writing class. Their paper, you're going to want to teach them to slant their paper the proper way. That's where those right hand and left hand charts come in to help you and show them this. If you write with this hand, you're going to look at this one. And if you write with this hand, you're going to look at that one to help you slant your paper the right way. You can also put stickers on their table for each corner of the paper, and that helps them slant their paper properly as well. You want to teach them about their pencil. Now in kindergarten, K4 and K5, we use a triangular pencil to help the children see where their fingers go. But if I were teaching them about their pencil, I would get a big one right here. And in my classroom, I would tell them their thumb is their daddy, and he goes in the driver's seat. The pointer finger is mommy, and she sits in the front seat with daddy. And your other three fingers, these are the children, and they ride in the back seat. They never climb over the top to the front. They stay in the back. And then your pencil, he points to the ceiling while he is writing. In fact, I even made a fun little song for those little ones to remember, and we sing it each time we pick up our pencil. Put daddy on one side, put mommy on one side. The children like to sleep in back while they ride. And we get to practice that pencil position to help them be able to write properly, and their hand won't get as tired if they're holding their pencil properly. The fourth P of writing is your pace. You want to make sure you go slow enough, but fast enough. It takes practice. Even when I was teaching in kindergarten, sometimes I would go too slow and you'd get those children trying to go ahead. Sometimes I'd end up too fast and you have those children lagging behind. So it's a learning process for you as well as for them. But you want them to be able to stay engaged, stay with you on that paper. Let's peek into Mrs. Stewart's classroom as she demonstrates to the children the proper writing position.
Boys and girls watching, you can have your pencil ready. We are in pencil check. Luke, we are in pencil check. That means our elbow is up. What does Daddy say? Oh, I can't hear you. Buckle up, so put Daddy on your pencil. What does Mommy say? I love you. Put Mommy on the pencil. What did the baby say? I will obey. So tuck those babies in. Boys and girls watching, tuck those babies in. And our elbow is up. Let me check your elbow. That's what I'm checking. Helper hand in the corner. This girl's elbow's up. That girl's elbow's up.
Now, writing is the children writing, but there are a lot of things you're going to want to train for their habits so that the children can be successful in that writing time. First of all, you want them to listen and pay attention. This is so very, very important, not just for writing time, but if you can train them properly here, it will help you throughout all of the different papers that the children will be doing. So you want them to listen carefully and pay attention. You're going to teach them about the parts of the house and review this daily. We're going to talk about that just a little bit more in depth in just a minute so I can show you the different parts of the house. You want to train the children with their paper and without their paper. If you've looked at the paper of a kindergarten child from the Abeka curriculum, you will see that there are red dots on their paper. So before they even get out that pencil, you're going to help them see this is the first red dot. Put your finger there. Look at that. You got it. And then walk around and check. This is the second red dot. Move to the next one and you check. and help them to see. Now, if you have children who are struggling, you can take stickers, little ones, and put them by so they can follow that sticker, or maybe put a green star or a red heart just to help them at first move away from that, help them to use the mind God gave them, but helps them stay with you. And that's the next thing. You want to train them to stay with the teacher, not go too slow, not go too fast, stay right there with you. Teach them how to pass their papers. Now we'll go into depth a little bit more about how to pass their papers in just a few minutes. And then you want to use the same routine and description for the formation of the letters. Teach them those different basic strokes that they need, and we'll go into depth a little bit more on that one too in just a minute. I told you we were going to talk about the house. So on their paper, they will have and they will see this nice colorful house. This is where our letters live. I would have it up on my chalkboard as well for their demonstration purposes. And we do some search and terminology so the children know exactly where to go every time. So we have the house. Do you live in a house? Yes, you do. You live in a house. Now, at Mrs. Walker's house, I have an upstairs and a downstairs. That's the house I live in now, but when I was a little girl, I had an upstairs, a downstairs, and a basement. And that's what our letters have. They have an upstairs, a downstairs, and a basement. Now, the upstairs has that ceiling. If you look like at our ceiling right now, it is white. In this house, the ceiling is blue. So there is a blue ceiling. Can you point at the blue ceiling? Yes, that's the blue ceiling. Then there's the dotted line. Now, in our classroom, we don't have a dotted line right now, but you can think big in your mind, and you can imagine there's a dotted line right through the middle. Maybe if you stretch up tall, you can bump that dotted line with your head. Let's try it. And then stretch up tall. Oh, Mrs. Walker bumped that dotted line. And then in my house, I have a carpet. Now, my carpet is not pink, but in this house where our letters live, we have a pink carpet. Do you see that pink line? And when I was little, I told you I had a basement. Well, this house has a basement, and that basement floor is blue like the ceiling, but we're just gonna call it the basement floor. In fact, I have a song, and I would teach the children the song. Upstairs, downstairs, in the basement. Upstairs, downstairs, in the basement. Upstairs, downstairs, in the basement. That is where our letters live. You can think about it. In the upstairs, did we kind of bump our head a little bit on that dotted line? Yes. In the upstairs, we go to sleep in the upstairs. See, there's a bed in the upstairs. Now, in the downstairs, I like to think that's where there is food. That's why we go to our tummy for the downstairs, because we like to eat. And the basement, our feet can take us down to that basement. And then I would sing that song with them to practice that terminology, to keep that writing time fun. Now, passing papers can be lots of challenge, and it can be fun. Now, with COVID-19 right now, you may not be passing papers. You may be choosing to put them inside of their desk. Whatever your administrator asks you to do, that's what needs to be done. But I wanted to show you how to pass papers so that should you be able to do this soon in the future, you would have an idea of a good way to be able to pass those papers. You want to have a pattern. So I would give it to the first child on the right-hand side of the table, and they would take that paper, that stack of papers, and pass it to the second child. The second child would take those and pass it around the paper, just like this. Now, right now, we're going to peek into Mrs. Stewart's classroom to see how she teaches the children how to pass their papers.
You're called the paper passer. So, Lucia, you're the paper passer. And Connor, you're the paper passer. So you're going to take your paper off the top, and then you're going to pass it to the next person. Let's watch table 2. Table 2 is going to do it first. So table 2, Lucia, you take your paper first. Nope, that's your paper. So you keep your paper, that's your paper, and then you pass this whole tray. You're going to slide it to Kayla. So slide it to Kayla, and then Kayla is going to take hers off the top and slide the whole tray to Luke.
Remember how we talked about children are learning and developing those fine motor skills right from the time they're born with grasping those fingers, and when they're a little bit older, those coloring strokes? Cursive writing has some basic strokes that all of the letters will use. So let's go over those basic strokes that the children need to master. One of those is the waves where they slant up, retrace, smile up to that dotted line, retrace, smile up to that dotted line. These are fun things that the children can learn to do to help them be successful in their writing. Another one is those loops. Now here in Pensacola, we have the Blue Angels. So I would like to say, those Blue Angels, they're coming to town and they're going to do their loop-de-loops. Put your pencil finger in the air. Ready? Let's go. Go with loop to the back, add a loop to the back, add a loop to the back, and smile. And they can put those fingers in the air and do those loops. You will do it on the chalkboard for them. They get to do it on their papers. Lots and lots of practice. Another one they get to master is those mountains. Sometimes it's hard work to climb up those mountains, isn't it? But we just keep walking. So we're going to smile, slant up to that dotted line, hump over to the pink carpet. Retrace to that dotted line, hump over to that pink carpet. Retrace to that dotted line and hump over to that pink carpet, and end with a smile. Make it fun. This can get humdrum and ho-hum, but it's you, the teacher. You're the one who can make it fun and exciting for the children to learn these things. And the last one, this is the most difficult, I think, for them to learn, is that ovals, because they have to go back and retrace. But I like to do it as a rocket ship, because rocket ships, they go quickly. Now this rocket ship isn't super fast, but he gets to go in ovals, and we slant and go in ovals, and slant and go in ovals, and slant and go in ovals. Lots and lots of practice just helps the children be confident in their writing abilities. Now, I know not every one of you will use cursive writing. Some of you say, oh, we use printing. Printing as well has those basic strokes to help the children be successful. The first one is a stick. So work on drawing those sticks. Make your body straight. I'm straight like a stick. Draw a straight stick. Another one you work on is those balls. Round and round and round and round, and let them draw them in the air. Let them draw them on the board. Have them draw them on their papers. Practice those balls. The slanted line. Oop, you can slant your body. Maybe let them stand on one foot to slant. It's a slanted line, helping them learn the difference between that straight line and that slanted line. And then the curves, it looks like a snake. Yes, it does, but it's a nice one. And we're going to draw those curves and draw those curves and help the children know what the difference is to help them be those successful writers. I know right now we're talking a lot about different things involved in the writing process. We will get to the writing, I promise, but another thing you want to train well on is that paper to help you be successful as a teacher, to help the children be confident writers. All of these steps are very necessary to help them. So you want to do those practice strokes on that paper. Don't skip those. As you could see, it's necessary. It helps them learn to use that whole arm. When they're doing those loops, tell them use your whole arm. When they're drawing that line, we don't just whoop and use our wrist. We use our whole arm to draw. That helps them be successful. Demonstrate on the board largely for them to see. This is little I. There's his dot. So they can see all of those strokes. So we're going to demonstrate tracing that letter. Fall off. Have them tell you, did I fall off? Oh, I did. Did you catch it? See if you can stay on that line and not fall off. Have the children trace letters. You can have some up on the board for them to trace. You can also have them trace it right on their table. It doesn't have to be there for them. They can just practice writing on their table. Use their hand, I like to call this their handy dandy chalkboard, so they would take that out. Let's make little I go up to the dotted line, retrace, and smile. Don't forget his dot. Give it a kiss if you did your best. Good job. Make it fun for them and lots of practice. Check that pencil throughout. I would like to tell the children pencil check. They knew that their elbow went on their table, their pencil went in their fingers, and I would walk around quickly and make sure they're all holding their pencil correctly. Pencil check, check their paper, make sure it's slanted properly for successful writing. Train them to stay right with your words of instruction. Start on the red dot. Slant up to the blue ceiling. Pause and check. Loop back toward the house, down to the pink carpet. Make them wait for you. Then end with a smile. That will help them be successful and help you be able to check their papers, because that's the last one. Walk around, check the children's work, make sure they're staying with you, and then you can mark their papers as you go, showing them things they're doing a great job on, and then things that they can continue to work on. Let's take a peek into Mrs. Reese's classroom as she demonstrates tracing those cursive strokes.
1, 2, 3, eyes on your shoes. 1, 2, 3, eyes on your nose. Can you do that? That's silly. 1, 2, 3, eyes on me. I love those eyes. Watch carefully. Now, give me a sad face if I did not trace right. Because if I didn't trace, that means you're going to see it. Because when I trace, I'm copying so carefully, you can't even tell I copied it. You watch and see. Start at the dot, slant up, and trace back down. I see smiles. I did it right, didn't I?
Having a successful writing time means that there are many different things that need to be included in that writing time. You want to work with that cursive formation guide. Point to the different letters on that guide. Ask the children the name of that letter. Describe that letter. They get to point to it. Make a mistake and point to the wrong letter. See if they can analyze and tell you what the right letter is and the right answer is. Make it fun. Review those old letters. Sometimes it's like, oh, I'm excited about this letter. I just want to get into it. But take the time to review those ones, because those learners that need that more practice, they need to review those. Those ones that are more advanced and already know it can help those ones that need the more practice. So review those old letters. Practice that main stroke in that letter to help them be successful writers. Then you're going to want to demonstrate that new letter big on that chalkboard, or using the digital teaching aid so the children can see the stroke of that letter. Write the letter on the board for them, on the line, so they can see, does this letter live in the upstairs, the downstairs, or the basement? Little A, he just lives in the downstairs. He likes to eat a lot like Mrs. Walker does. His head touches the dotted line. He sits on the pink carpet, and he ends with a smile. And tell them where those letters live, helping them to be successful writers. Let the children write on the board. Is it sometimes sloppy? Yes. Is it sometimes messy? Yes. But you know what? They love to get out of their chairs. They love to write on that chalkboard. And don't just let them, just say, good job, and sit down. No, go there. Say, look at this one. Did the teacher write this one? No. Sally, you did a great job. Put a big heart around it. Or if they fell off the track, show them, look, right here, you fell off the track. Next time I know you're going to stay on that track. And just help them to evaluate their own writing so that they can become better writers. After you have done that, you're going to do an application part by using those papers, turning their chairs, passing their papers. You've already trained these things, so it will be very successful. and then checking that paper and checking that pencil to make sure they are ready to write. The curriculum lays all of this out beautifully for you, following that as your guide so that you can be successful during your writing time. Let's peek into Mrs. Reese's classroom as she demonstrates how to write a letter.
I start at the red carpet right there at the dot, and I slant up to that dotted line. Now watch the point. That is an amazing point. Oh, that would really prick Joshua. And we're going to get close to that carpet. When I get close to that carpet, I curve, touch the carpet, come back over to this line. Then I'm going to trace back around and smile. That is letter S.
Now in K4, when you evaluate their papers, you're going to make marks on their papers daily. So you want to daily check their papers, make a mark on it. You could put a sticker on it, circle something you noticed as the teacher. You can work on this little part. And those papers are going to go home. That lets mom and dad know what you're working on at school. Every 2 weeks, you're going to have 2 papers that you've collected to put marks on and comments on for those papers so that you can send the papers home for the parent-teacher meeting. So those you're going to save 1 set a week, so at the end of 2 weeks you have 2 sets of papers. And on these papers you're going to want to make comments and suggestions and things that parents can help with at home. You will have some parents who want to help their children work at home. Only perfect practice makes perfect. And we know we're not perfect, but they can get better. But the parents need helpful suggestions to show them how to help their children be better writers. For the K4, do not assign grades to those papers. You're just going to put beautiful or good work or nice job, and I'll give you some helpful comments in just a minute to write on their papers for those. Now in K5, we do assign grades to the writing paper. Now the curriculum is going to tell you when to collect that paper for those graded papers. What I like to do is I like to organize my papers into different stacks. So I would take the children's papers after I've collected them and I would look at them to say, okay, have they stayed between the lines? Let's start there. Okay, these children, yep, they stayed between the lines. Those are great. I'm putting those in that stack. Now these children, I think they fell off here and there, so I'll put these ones in that stack, and these children, I love them to death, bless them. They're gonna go in this little stack here. They may struggle with their writing. And then I take the best ones and I put them in order from which ones I feel like did the very best to the ones that need to just keep working on it. And so now I have them in an order from the ones that I feel did the best to the ones that just need to keep working. And then I'm going to evaluate those papers. I'm going to write 2 positive comments on there, whether it's great or beautiful or awesome, keep going. And I'm going to find 2 things that they can improve on. It doesn't have to be anything large or big. It's just going to help the parents know what that they can do. And I'll give you some of those suggestions in just a minute. Here are some helpful things for positive comments that you could use. Wonderful, great, you took your time. I'm so proud of you, way to go. Sometimes this one's very helpful. Super try. You know they did their best. Great try. Or you did your best. Or love this and put the letter in there. I sometimes would like to use the alphabet as my guide. And all the papers I would use a word like awesome. And then you didn't have to think of a word. And you could do awesome and beautiful. Or I would draw a flower or a heart around one of them to show mom and dad that was the best letter on that paper. Some helpful comments. We don't ever want to do a negativity, but a helpful comment could be, or a constructive comment could be, retrace carefully, or slint that in just a little bit more. Connect your letters carefully and circle where that problem was and demonstrate it in a red pen for the parents so they can see what you mean. or circle where they went below that red carpet and write stop at the red carpet or stop here. Trace back around carefully with cursive. A lot of retracing happens. That's one of the things that they continually need to work on. And then remember to demonstrate that on the paper so that the parents know what you're talking about. Writing class can be such a fun time for you and for the children. Throughout the day, you can take time to help develop those fine motor skills to help writing to become more successful for the children. Here are a few ideas that you can use to help those children develop those fine motor skills they need for writing. Opening and closing clothespins, lacing cards and activities, cutting Play-Doh, snipping paper with those scissors. Cutting is such that opening and closing is hard for those littles. So developing those skills so that they're successful in that will help them with their writing, guiding that pencil. Stringing macaroni on yarn or using those lacing beads, that's a good thing. They're pinching and they're pulling. Following past and those tracing activities is helpful as well. It's up to you, the teacher, to make writing time fun and enjoyable. Here's a few ideas that I took from a couple of my friends of things that they would like to do with the boards. You can see that they put the nut for fall time around the writing lines. This is how the writing lines would look to match the students' papers. Or maybe you went camping one week, so the letters slept in the tent instead of the house. You could just put something pretty around it, just like part to draw that child's eye in. And the bottom chalkboard there is just to show you where you could put the children to go over and write, so they have a specific place so that they know exactly where to go to keep it fun for the children and their writing time. I hope that this school year your writing time can be successful because you have all the proper tools and you are excited about writing.